Hi, welcome back to the Rice Club. I haven't posted anything in over a month. I think the last episode we did was in early November, basically during the US presidential elections. So I'm trying to get back into it, trying to be more active. And actually, I just wanted to use this episode to talk about my high school reunion. So this year was supposed to be my high school 10-year reunion. I am an old geezer. Obviously, it got postponed due to COVID 19, so it's definitely not happening this year. However, someone I knew from high school decided to create a last minute Google Meetup slash Google Hangout, whatever you call it, basically a video chat for those who wanted to reconnect. I decided to hop on to see who was on, and to be honest, it was a very underwhelming experience. And there were about, 11, 12, 13 people on, but my graduating class had over 600 people. Yeah. So I totally expected more individuals to show up. However, it was really nice to see the people that were on. I basically knew everyone, so it was really nice to see what people were up to, just your normal small chit chat, normal small talk. Since the event was last minute, it was completely understandable that so few people would show up. So kudos to my friend for, setting up that video call. At least we got to test the waters to see what, attendance would look like. So I wanted to take this episode to share my thoughts about high school reunions and more broadly about people's high school experiences. I generally talk about politics, so I thought I would switch it up and talk about something a bit more personal. So I think there's two kinds of people when it comes to high school reunions. There are those who are, indifferent and maybe they'll go if their friends will go. And, they just might be busy pursuing their career. Maybe they're in grad school, maybe they've moved to the East Coast, or, they're busy with a relationship, just general adulting. Now, I think a lot of people would fall into this category. And then there's the second group. And this group of people, they don't want to go anywhere near their high school, let alone attend their high school reunion. They probably, had some negative memories of their high school experience. Maybe they spent a lot of their time doing schoolwork. Maybe they were lonely and had very few friends. Maybe they were bullied. It could be, a variety of things. Whatever the case may be, they didn't like high school and they want to stay the hell away from it, and their classmates as well. Now, is there a third category for those who are excited about a high school reunion? Maybe. I mean, to be honest, as anxious, introverted, and self-conscious as I am being around people, I really do want to attend my high school reunion. Now, I'm not like jumping for joy, like, oh my God, there's gonna be a get together, and I'm so excited. I'm just happy to be able to see my old friends and classmates. And maybe I'm just like a romantic or a dreamer, but I value friendships and getting that opportunity to build genuine relationships with people. And a high school reunion could be a good venue for that. And just growing up, I've always loved and appreciated like coming of age movies or shows like American Graffiti. You got Breakfast Club, Dazed and Confused, Freaks and Geeks, and so on. So a high school reunion feels like, where you can get together with the people that influenced, shaped, or just part of your formative years. So, just to conclude, am I excited? Yeah, of course. Am I nervous? Yes. Am I jumping for joy that there's a 10-year reunion? Not so much. Now, I actually kind of feel sad for those people that hated high school so much that they don't even want to go near they don't even want to get close to the campus, or they want to be as far as possible physically and emotionally from their old classmates. And, I don't mean like I'm sad in the patronizing sense where I'm like, why can't you be happy? Just be happy. I'm going to force you to be happy. Like forcing someone to feel a certain way, even though they're not. Like, I can totally understand why people would hate their, high school experience. Maybe there was stuff going on at home. Maybe they didn't feel supported or loved by their peers. Maybe they felt useless or felt like, they didn't achieve their goals. Being a teenager is obviously very difficult. So I can totally empathize with them because, I've been in these difficult situations and moments myself. When I mean sad, I'm just sad that things didn't pan out the way that person wanted, that they went through those difficult times. And really, in some ways, I wish I could have been there back in the day to be a supportive friend for them. Like, I hear my friends who are like, ew, I hated like my high school, my time in high school. Like, oh man, I hated high school. Like, I wish I could have like been there and, been a good friend or try to make the experience better for them. To be frank, I should be the last person defending, quote unquote, the high school experience or high school memories. I played football, but I wasn't one of those guys that you probably knew from your own high school that, there was that all conference sports star who like banged cheerleaders left and right while throwing Ragers every weekend and they got into Harvard. Like, my high school life sucked hard for a long time. I felt lonely. My grades were terrible, so there was no way I could have gone to a good university. I didn't really have a support system. And, the only saving grace were the friends I made and the teachers I had. So I can definitely get why people would not want to go to the reunion. It would almost be like reliving all those negative moments all over again. Now, just to circle back to the topic of high school reunions, I went to a top tier public school where many of the students ended up going to elite or top ranked universities like UC Berkeley, UCLA, UC San Diego, et cetera, et cetera. I was a pretty unremarkable student, like I said earlier. But, a lot of my peers, they ended up working at prestigious companies like Microsoft, Google, Facebook, et cetera. Some are studying at Stanford, some are doctors, some are studying to be pharmacists. So a lot of people are doing quite well. And maybe you've probably felt, inadequacy. Maybe you've felt inadequate when comparing yourself to your peers. I sure as hell do. I mean, I'm always reminded of that Family Guy episode where Peter Griffin freaks out before attending his reunion because he thinks he's, a loser. And then, he attempts to fool everyone by dressing up as an astronaut with a cowboy hat and goat chains. That's basically how I feel. Or that's basically how I felt, coming into this year. Like, oh my God, there's a 10-year reunion. What have I done with my life? Like, yeah, I'm not doing too shabby myself, but yeah, you're going to feel like crap when you're surrounded by pharmacists and software engineers and everyone's making the big bucks and all that. So another thing that I'm not looking forward to is the social norms of the small talk whenever you see old friends and classmates. Like, maybe this seems kind of silly, but I hate asking or being asked the typical, like, oh my God, where have you been all these past couple of years? Where are you working? Like, where are you living? Are you seeing someone? These types of questions are guaranteed to pop up. Like, for me, I'd prefer to just jump in and be like, oh, hey man, did you watch the Niner game last Sunday? Like, oh man, I'll catch you up on Zoom, or maybe we can grab a beer, next Sunday. Basically, I'd prefer to just jump into more genuine or like casual and formal conversation without having to go through the motions of, quote unquote, catching up. Yeah, you're getting to know them again, but without the same old questions over and over. Like just the other day, like for example, I received a thank you text from my friend after I wished him a happy birthday. And we proceeded to do the same old, hey man, what you up to? Oh, hey, I just moved for work and I'm trying to survive the pandemic. How about you? Oh, I just graduated from my master's program. Oh, congrats. Where are you working now? Oh, I'm just, doing this, that, blah, blah, blah. Are you back in town? Oh, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's so boring and formulaic. But imagine doing that with everyone at your reunion. It just feels like more like a common courtesy rather than really getting to know to reconnect back with someone. And it's funny because I started off more positive in this episode, but and then I started talking about my fears about going to a reunion. But in the bigger picture, I guess I just have to cope and fight through these things. And at the end of the day, I think it's definitely a net positive being able to see your old classmates and friends. And for me, you know, I hope I'll be able to reconnect with some people that I haven't seen in a long time, that I haven't seen in a while. Maybe we can kick it in the future. Who knows? So at the end of the day, I'm positive. I'm feeling positive. Obviously, we have to wait until this pandemic blows over before we actually have like an actual in-person event. So hopefully your high school reunion is going to go well, or hopefully it went well. So yeah,